Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another one of our summer virtual series. We are experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty, so I am not alone tonight. I have our fabulous Dean of Health and Wellness, Mary Tinlin, who's joining us, but she is only going to be vocal. We're not going to be able to see her. So it's just one of those things that we're working through. We wish that you could see her, but she'll still be a part of the whole conversation. Mary, you want to say hello?
Hello, I apologize for the technical difficulties. It has not been a good tech week for me. I did end up getting a new computer, but haven't clearly worked out all the bugs. So please enjoy the relaxing beach scene. It may be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing than me.
But that's all right. But we've got a pretty good agenda tonight. We're going to talk about some tough conversations, difficult conversations to have with your student throughout the summer. And as we're gearing up, many of us here realized that move-in day is in a month from today. And so I think it's a pretty timely discussion for us all to have here. Just a couple housekeeping things. As always, we are recording this so that we'll be able to share them out. We are continuously working with our campus partners to get those out. So I know we're about three behind sharing those. I do absolutely love that we've got some repeaters that are joining us each week and sharing that they're looking for some of the past recordings. And so keep reaching out. We're going to keep reaching out to try to get those out there for everybody. We do have the Q&A up, so if you have questions tonight, please feel free to ask those. And if we can't find the answer to them, then we will definitely connect you with a campus partner that will. But let's go ahead and just dive right in. Mary, why don't you tell us a little bit first about your role here at Flagler, and then we can get to our agenda.
Sure. So, in my role as Dean of Health and Wellness, I oversee our health clinic, our counseling center, our care team, our case management outreach, and our health and wellness educational programming. I've been with the college for 34 years, and I just want to thank you for joining us today.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and just start diving right in. Um, how do family members, parents, grandparents, really close siblings navigate just this transition of coming to Flagler with their student?
Sure. We know that the transition to college can be both exciting and stressful for students and their families. So, during this first year of college, your student will have many new experiences. It's a year full of many firsts, learning to manage new responsibilities, accomplishments, opportunities, decisions, and new friends. Your student may also experience indecision, ethical and moral dilemmas, disappointments and mistakes. It will take time for some students to adjust to the roller coaster of emotions that include being happy, sad, confused, liked, sometimes disliked, disappointed, anxious, or uncomfortable. Be patient with them and with yourself.
And so, what are some tactics that maybe families can work with their students on gaining independence during, this next month of transition?
Sure. I mean, you can support them by what I say, letting go and empowering growth. There are going to be many times during your student's college career that you're going to want to jump in and fix the problems for them.
Mhm.
Letting go can be a challenge for everyone involved. But trust me, the best thing you can do in most situations is to not jump in. Making choices and living with the consequences, good or bad, is part of the educational experience. Many students arrive on campus without ever having faced true adversity or experiencing failure. When parents, and I know it's with the best of intentions, remove these obstacles, it's at the expense of their student because it prevents the development of coping mechanisms. Struggle is essential for growth. When parents intervene, they rob their student of the ability to feel accomplished at getting through something difficult. This is where reframing the situation can be very helpful. And I say, learn to see challenges as opportunities instead of threats.
And
Uh,
so it's really looking at that line or where that line is of being too involved and not involved enough. Am I kind of that support system on the side? Am I kind of taking the reins from them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to point out that I'm trying to be very intentional with my language. And you'll notice I'm not saying your child, but your student. And while your child will always be your child, they are no longer a child. So it's really important to recognize that distinction during this transition.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about how the parent role is evolving as a whole?
Sure. You know, while your student is beginning a new chapter, don't underestimate the important role you continue to play. But your role is evolving from daily manager to supportive guide, right? Um, your student needs your support for their growth, development, and independence. And your support still matters, it's just needed in different ways.
And so really thinking about that autonomy for
Mhm.
students.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so what can parents do to support that?
Well, part of it is pulling away from the need to be over involved. We've all heard about the helicopter parent, the snowplow parent, but we really haven't heard about what the negative impacts of this parental over response include. And what we know is that this has led to, for students, reduced problem solving and critical thinking skills. When parents are constantly intervening to solve problems for their student, it deprives the student of the opportunity to think critically and develop their own solving skills. Over responding also can lead to heightened anxiety in students who can then become overly dependent on their parents for decision making and coping with challenges. I mean, we've all met with students who can't make a decision unless they call 3 or 4 people. That's
Mm.
that's not healthy behaviors. It can delay emotional and social growth. Students who struggle to develop emotional resilience and social skills if they're shielded from facing age appropriate challenges and interactions. And it weakens their resilience and adaptability. Facing adversity is crucial for building resilience and adaptability. And
I mean, I'm so
and
sorry,
that's all
continue.
right. And I know, with your background in career services, Tara, it can also delay career readiness and professional
Mm.
development. Without experiencing independence and responsibility early on, students may find it challenging to transition into adulthood in the professional world, where self reliance and initiative are crucial.
I mean, you're bringing up such a great point. I'm thinking about my own 13-year-old who has to ask me where everything is. And it's like, did you look? And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, I need to work a little bit more on that so that when they get to college, they're not calling me or texting me saying, where is my sunscreen?
Well, it's hard. We want the best for our children. We want them to be happy. We don't realize that by being over involved or overdoing for them, that we're actually robbing them of the opportunity of self-sufficiency.
Absolutely. So, what are some really good and healthy ways to stay connected with students?
Yeah, this is kind of going to be dependent upon your family's established communication styles and pattern. You may be families who are in each other's business all the time, or you may be a little bit more disconnected. Um, but I think parents, families need to understand that students may not be as responsive as they'd like once they're on campus. They may not text back immediately, they might not answer your calls. They do appreciate hearing from you, but they've got a lot of distractions and other things going on where they might not be, available. But no, they do appreciate hearing from you for sure. And we're going to talk about, scheduling and how to arrange that communications, I think, later in this chat. But they do appreciate care packages, especially during the first few weeks of the semester. So make sure you send those along. And another thing about the early adjustment is I think it's essential for students to have exposure. And for that to happen, they need to be on campus and amongst their peers. So I would encourage all families to encourage their student to stay on campus until Thanksgiving break. This helps them engage with I know it's hard, but it helps them engage with campus and create a place for themselves at Flagler. We encourage parents to visit. Not too often, but actually a great time to visit is during our family weekend, which is scheduled,
Hmm.
I think, for September 26th through 28th, which is,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I always say 6 weeks. Give
yep.
me 6 weeks
Hmm.
where the students on campus, so that's right around when family weekend is. So then they get to show you around campus and show you their new world, their new home. But 6 weeks
Yeah.
is definitely a good thing. And I love what you're saying about setting up that expectation for communication. That's one of my favorite sessions that our orientation leaders have led with families and students together is talking about, how often will I check in with my family and what's not going to escalate somebody's anxiety about whether they're okay and what's also going to support them. Is it a daily check-in or just a text message in the morning or at night, like, hey, I made it back, had a great day, talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think those are all things to have discussions about before the students arrive on campus. Parent may have expectation or family expectation of this
Mm-hmm.
constant communication, and student busy with new friends and new things is just thinking, oh, I'm going to do a weekly check-in. So really kind of getting that communication plan set before the student is dropped off on campus can go a long way in managing everybody's expectations and easing hurt feelings.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What are some other good topics to make sure that families and students are discussing during this time?
Yeah, I think it's really important to continue with those difficult conversations. You can talk about while you're running errands with your student now, you've got 4 weeks. Talk about choices, values, expectations. You may not be on campus, but you're still going to have influence over their decisions. And if you think about all the decisions they're going to be making, I mean, likely for the first time, your student is making their own decisions about when to study, how late to stay up, when to get up in the morning, when to exercise, what to
What to
eat,
eat?
right? What to get involved with campus, whether to drink alcohol or use other substance, just to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
And while you can't have control over their choices, you still have an influence on their behavior. And this is where those conversations can come in. If you're communicating openly about your expectations and you're welcoming their comments about their expectations, your student will appreciate that not only that you're respecting them as an adult, but also they're more likely to turn to you for future guidance, right? Talk about things like academics. Do you have GPA expectations? Is it like we're a C's get degrees family, or are we, I expect you on the dean's list every year, right? I do want to make a note here that the academic adjustment for some students is elevated when they're coming from high school
Mm-hmm.
to college. So families remember that this first semester is a time of massive adjustment. And as such, your student may not perform to their academic capabilities. Okay. So
Yeah.
give
I
them
mean, they're
some
learning to
grace,
live.
right? Give them some grace when those grades come in, right? And then reset expectations for the spring semester. Have them identify strategies to improve the grades, whether that's go to the Learning Resource Center, get a tutor, talk to their case advisor. But that's a much healthier way to address that than anger, and shouting matches for sure. Uh,
Yeah. Any other communication strategies you think would be good to
yeah,
start tapping into now?
we've already talked about communicating, how often, how we're going to do it. Again, boundaries, put everyone on the same page. Um, a big one, I think, that all parents need to be talking about, families, is managing freedom responsibly, right? So 3 months ago, your student was a high school student. Their schedule was prescribed. They woke up, they had breakfast, they went to classes, maybe they did an after school curricular, they did a sports team, they did a club, or they had a part-time job. Then they came home, they ate dinner, then maybe they did some homework, then maybe they hung out with friends or did social media or watched a movie. Then they went to bed, then they woke up the next day and pretty much
Did
did
it
the
all
same
again.
thing. Yep. Uh, College is a lot different, right? Your student will be in class about 15 hours a week.
Hmm.
That leaves a lot of time to
Hmm.
either fill or to waste. So I highly encourage talking about routines, right? Sleep times, wake times, um, and time management, right? And I would say sit down with an hour to hour schedule with your student, right? Talk about what a realistic day looks like. What's their schedules? Start in with, here's when I'm going to be in class. Here's when I'm going to do the homework for those classes. Here's when I'm going to go for a walk on St. George Street or go to the
Mhm.
gym. Here's when I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Here's when I'm going to socialize with my friends. Here's when I'm going to relax and get my quiet time. Anything that's important to your student, program that in on the schedule. That way it sets them up for success. I mean, when you have a lot of time on your hands, sometimes you can
Mhm.
fall into the trap of saying, oh, I've got so much time, I'll do that later. You never get to later because for some reason the time evaporates. So really, to set them up for success, it really is managing that freedom, responsibility, and time management is a key way to do it. Another thing I encourage them to talk about is financial responsibility. And that's
Mm.
budgeting. You know, a lot of high school students aren't really participating in that. So sit down with your student, talk about what they're spending their money on, talk about what they think is a realistic budget for college. I mean, they've got to plan now for
Mhm.
things such glamorous items as toilet paper and cleaning supplies and shampoos. Those might not be things they're factoring into whatever that weekly or monthly budget is. And really, in addition to that, who's paying for what? What's the
Mhm.
family going to be responsible for? What's the student going to be responsible for? Is there going to be a need for a part-time job? And if that's the case, is it an on-campus job or an off-campus job? So really sitting down and talking through all of those things. Another thing is social life, right? Does your student know about healthy relationships in the context of a partnership or even in the concept of friendships? That's important.
Mhm. Mhm.
Extracurricular engagement, right? Being involved too much, that happens, or being involved too little. We want them to get out of their room. So it's really about finding balance given all the options. And at Flagler, there are so many options for your students
Mhm.
to get involved. They need to balance and they need to be choosy about where they decide to invest their time. And finally, and I think this is a really important one too, identify helping coping strategies, right? And ensure that your student knows to seek help when it's needed. That is so important. The sooner a
Mhm.
student reaches out to faculty, LRC, counseling center, care team, case management for help, the more options we're going to have for helping them remedy whatever the struggle is they're going through. The longer it goes, the less options there are going to be for that student to resolve it.
Yeah, and I think one of the unique things about Flagler, with us being a little bit smaller but having a variety, is that students can kind of choose their level of involvement that they want in some of these different areas.
Mhm.
And that can be really exciting. That can be a talking point for family members, is, going to a club meeting once a week. Or it could be, I've worked with students on, let's find one social thing to do a week, and it could be a regular club meeting, or it could be just kind of doing a drive through of some program. But I think those are great talking points with family members, is how are they connecting with the institution and their new home, and whether it's a topic they talked about in class or
Absolutely.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So what are some warning signs that we want our family members to be aware of, so that they do have a really good, successful relationship with their student, but also, just so that they are a part of that journey when it begins in August?
Sure. I would say I'll give you my top 10, but not in any particular order. All right. One would be failing grades. That's a key indicator that something's going on. Another one actually is dramatic weight changes. And while it's normal for some weight fluctuation to occur, significant changes need to be identified. Um,
Mm.
if your student's having frequent health complaints, if they're talking about headaches, stomach aches, nausea, that's a red flag. Social isolation, if they report having no friends, no one to do anything with, they don't have anyone to go to the dining hall with, that's another warning sign. If you notice that they're losing interest in things they once enjoyed,
Mm.
if they were a beach goer and then they say, oh, I don't know, I'm not doing anything. Oh, have you thought about going to the beach? Nah, I don't really like that anymore. That's another red flag. If you're noticing a difference in their hygiene or how they dress or carry themselves, another warning sign. A key warning sign is sleep issues. And this can be sleeping too little or sleeping too much. Both are
Mm.
problematic. Um, If you're noticing in your conversations with them that they're having difficulty focusing, seeming zoned out or distracted, that's also a red flag. If they've experienced a recent loss of something significant, students often experience the loss of a grandparent, the loss of their family pet, a
Mhm.
relationship back home. All of these can be warning signs where the student might need to get additional support. And then finally, I think recent traumatic family events, divorce, illness diagnosis, natural disaster, anything
Mhm.
that affects their family back home can have a significant impact on the student while they're doing this transition period. And I think families need to understand, they know their student best. So if anything raises a concern or seems off to them, it's worth checking in with the student. And then if they don't really get a sense that their student is being completely open with them, the college has resources for the
That was going to be my next
family
question.
for the family to submit a care referral, which is a referral of concern that our care team follows up on and reaches out to your student to see, brings them in for a meeting. It's non-disciplinary in nature. It's really about care and about
Mhm.
seeing what supportive resources the student might need to be connected with to ensure that they are thriving here at Flagler.
Do your teams see any points in the semester that cause a bit more anxiety for students where the outreach to family members and their support system may be a little bit more heightened?
Yeah, I think that typically it coincides with a couple different. The initial move-in phase that creates for a lot of students some panic and anxiety. Their parents are leaving and they're being left here, and their parents might be going home to New York, and that's a long way away, and they won't see them until Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of things. So that early move-in period, and I would caution you to listen to your student. Just listen.
Mm.
This is where the active listening comes in. You don't want to rush in and solve. You don't want to, you just want to say, oh, that's tough. This is a new adjustment. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. How can you distract yourself from feeling this way?
Which is gonna really be hard because naturally, as parents and family members, like we want to take away that pain and to help provide solutions and,
Mm.
see them prosper.
Right. But again, as we've discussed, by taking away that pain, we really take away their ability to gain their independence, to problem
Mhm.
solve, to be resilient. So it's a very fine line. Sometimes love is letting them suffer consequences, manage the difficulties, advocate for themselves. That's a big piece of it. Think of it less as suffering. Remember when I talked about that reframe? Challenges are not threats, they're opportunities. Thinking is as an opportunity for your student to gain valuable skills.
Well, and what a moment of celebration on the other side when they, get through something that was a very difficult situation for themselves, and then they come back and share that success with you as a
Ab-
family member.
Absolutely. They're so proud of themselves. Look at me.
Yes.
I think I can do this hard thing. And now here I am on the other side of it. It's empowering, right?
Yeah.
They're going to maybe tackle the next thing without even reaching out. And that's really what you want. It's a process,
Absolutely.
and there's
Yeah.
probably ebbs and flows, but it's a process. So
Yeah.
listen, yeah.
Well, we have covered a whole lot in a short period of time. My goodness, this has been wonderful. Because I think many of our family members are either, oh my goodness, it's going to be a horrible transition for all of us, or they'll be fine. And it's kind of finding where you are on this, spectrum here. But I think starting off kind of addressing this, acknowledging it right from the get-go really helps people have a much more successful transition, regardless of what that relationship looks like. Can you touch a little bit more on just some of the different services available for students that maybe family members could help reinforce?
Absolutely. So, one of the things as family members is to know your resources, right? I would recommend doing a deep dive into the Flagler website. And I'm going to do a shameless brag here for the health and wellness
Hmm.
website. We have got a ton of
A
resources,
ton.
and it outlines all of our services. So sit down with your student, walk them through it. This educates you and it educates them. And then when they call and they need some support, hey, remember when we looked at that website? They have. So we have so many supportive resources. The safest place for your child to fail forward, I believe, is Flagler College. Um, we have a health clinic. So for any type of medical concern that they have, they can be seen in our health clinic Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's staffed by a nurse practitioner and a registered nurse. Our director, Holly, has been with the college for 27 years.
Hmm.
She has literally seen anything and everything a college student could present with, and she's fabulous at her job. Those services are completely free of charge. Our counseling center is staffed by 3 licensed clinicians and 2 graduate level interns. These confidential services are also completely free of charge, and they deal with the host of issues that college students experience, from homesickness to more serious mental health issues. All 3 of our licensed provider have previously worked at Flagler Hospital, so they are familiar with all levels of acuity in dealing with mental health. Those services are also completely free of charge. In order to schedule an appointment, the student just needs to walk into the center, fill out a brief information on an iPad, and they leave that day with an appointment. We have been lucky to be able to run our clinic in a way that, one, permits weekly counseling sessions and no session limits, which most colleges have. So that's really a great service for your students.
Mary, I just want to make sure that I'm getting to some of the
Oh,
questions.
okay.
So co-pays or insurance or things like that.
We don't charge for any, we don't ask for insurance. The health clinic and the counseling center is included as part of your tuition costs. We don't even have a health fee. We don't ask for insurance. The insurance that you need to have really is that the college requires is if you need to be seen for emergency services off campus,
Okay,
hospitalization, broken arm, that kind of thing.
thank you. Um, all right. Were there any other services that you wanted to chat before I interrupted you?
That's okay. Yeah, I briefly talked about our care team. So
Hmm.
our care team meets weekly. It's comprised of 10 senior administrators on campus. And we review the care referrals that are submitted through our online site, uh, on anything that anybody has a concern about a student. Like I said, it's non-disciplinary, it comes from the place of care, and it really is just a way to centralize referrals, to get kind of a bird's eye view of what might be happening with an individual student, and to really be able to connect with these students and provide them the supportive resources.
Wonderful. Well, what are some exciting events or things that your team is going to be doing this fall?
Well, one of the exciting things is we're rolling out a living learning community, the Well.
Hmm.
So that's on tap for this fall. We're excited about that. We are continuing to do our Come Grow With Me gardening project. So we have raised beds in the back of the Tinland House, and the students plant. This year they did some flowers and a bunch of herbs and tomatoes. I think we're on our 5th round of tomatoes. We're getting a lot of good food. And in fact, our
I heard
parsley,
there's some mint.
yes, we have a lot of mint. Our parsley actually drew some caterpillars that we were able to get 4 butterflies from, which I'm working with our Marcom team to do something relative to paralleling that with the transition of a college student coming to college. So we're meeting this week. I'm excited about that. Also excited about our annual Wellness Week.
Hmm.
Wellness Week occurs the week of September 8th. We've got a lot of really great stuff planned. On Monday, we do a snail mail social where students get to interact with old typewriters.
I love it.
I know
I
the
absolutely
students love it. They'll wait in
Yes.
line for 30 minutes to take their turn on one of these typewriters, and they write letters to themselves, letters to family. It's really a fun event. And then on Tuesday is our annual wellness fair. I think we've got about 25 campus and community partners, all
That's
there
great.
displaying things about health and wellness with giveaways and massages, all sorts of fun things.
All the important things.
That's right. On Wednesday, which is Suicide Awareness Prevention Day, we're doing a resource fair and a yellow pinwheel project to represent loved ones and friends that may have been impacted. Thursday, we're doing a sound bath. And then carrying on with Tranquility Day with the West Lawn. We'll have some painting. The therapy dogs will be there. The therapy dogs is something we're really proud of too. We bring therapy dogs to campus every other Thursday throughout both semesters. And it's the attendance ranges anywhere from, I think, 53 to 171. The students
Oh, yeah.
love the dogs.
Yes.
They love the dog. We all love the dogs.
Yes.
Yes. And then on Friday, we're culminating with Ninja Nation. We're going to have a ninja course set up in the street in front of the library and the student center. And students will be able to come and test their skills on the ninja course. So lots of fun things to really kind of promote health and wellness.
Absolutely. Well, looking at our questions, let's see, is there a pharmacy on campus a student may receive their current medications?
So we do not have an on-campus pharmacy, but we do partner with a local pharmacy called Island Family Pharmacy. And if you're interested in getting that information, you can just email me at healthandwellness@flagler.edu, and I will be happy to send you that information. They deliver to campus Monday through Friday. And then when they deliver to campus, the health clinic staff notifies your student that their prescription is ready for pickup.
Oh, that's great. And then we do have another question. Students will get their IDs when they arrive on move-in day. They'll pick up their room key, then they'll get their ID card. If they need a parking decal, that will happen then. And then if they're not moving in on August 22nd for any reason, they'll be able to head to our security office to get their ID card. And then textbooks can be purchased through our bookstore. I believe students have been receiving some information about this in their weekly newsletters coming from our orientation team, but they'll put their schedule into there and then the books that they select that they want. But reaching out to the bookstore would be the best one. But I think those are all the questions that we have. Mary, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with us tonight and sharing some really invaluable information. I have a feeling that this is going to be one that's hit pretty often with the recordings and kind of doing some check-ins and some things like that and sharing some of the information. Just as a reminder, our next webinar will be next Thursday, July 31st, and we're going to dive into move-in day and what that looks like, the logistics to expect. It's my favorite day of the year every year. It's the hottest day of the year every year. We know that it comes with a lot of emotions, like Mary talked about earlier. And so hopefully trying to navigate that day a little bit more successfully with some more information will help a lot of our students and families. And then you did share contact information for health and wellness teams, healthandwellness@flagler.edu.
Correct. And they can find that on our website as well, under the health and wellness resources.
All right. Well, not seeing any other questions. Thank you again. And we appreciate everybody working with our technology difficulties. It's, just a part of the game, but we're going to work through it. And so if anybody's got questions, healthandwellness@flagler.edu, or you can always email us at studentaffairs@flagler.edu and we can help direct your questions elsewhere. So thank you all so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Bye.